Get them on. There we go. Hello, hey. Welcome. Thank you. All right. Yes, as the video so aptly presented, the topic is love. It's actually, we've been doing the topic of love for quite a while now. I think I started in, maybe it was May, June on this topic, so it's been quite a while, but this is the last one, I promise. For a little while anyway, maybe back in February I'll bring up the topic again. So we're going to do a review, starting at the beginning, and then we're going to get into the two main points. First one being love, and the other one being others, which is our topic today. Yes?
Doing Darth Vader effect.
Oh, really?
So you might need to move it just a bit away from your move it out to the picture.
All right. Thank you.
I think that's it.
Is that better? Everyone?
That's better.
Better? Good. Awesome. So, we started off with the topic of loving God. And the first point of that, if you remember, was that it was what we are created for. Beginning in Genesis, it talks about that God created man in the Garden of Eden, and that he created man to have walks and talks and share this beautiful creation of earth with man. I'm going to start on plug in.
Is that one working?
Number 2, I need.
I'm going to step along. Wait so I can walk around.
Hello, right, we're back. All right, excellent. So,
loving God is what we were created for. Loving God was getting to know Him. I talked about ways we can get to know Him. Get to know Him in His Word. We get to know Him because He is love. Loving God is practical. The ways we show love to God is in how we use our time, talents, and treasure. The next topic was loving yourself. Because the verses were from Matthew. It talks about the greatest commandments that we have were loving God with all your heart, mind, soul, and loving others like yourself. So I broached that topic. What does loving yourself look like? You're supposed to love someone like you love yourself. What does that look like? And how it isn't a commandment for self-love, but it is. We understood, and then I'll get to the point, but what that love looks like towards ourselves. So first of all, I talked about self-love, which is the perspective that we have. A lot of us can live with this perspective that, oh, I love me. You know, I'm great. And the opposite of that was self-loathing. We had this little video from The Grinch. It talks about, staring into the abyss, wrestling with self-loathing, slipping slowly into madness, how he laments that his character's alone and troubled by his seclusion. The third was biblical love. This biblical love that we are to love ourselves is agape love. This is the love that is mentioned in the Bible when it's talking about God's love for us, our love for ourselves, and our love towards others. This is an agape love, and I showed that in contrast to the other types of love that are out there. A phileo love, which is a brotherly love, or an eros is a term for an erotic love, and then there's storge, another love mentioned in the Bible, but that is a love if you're taking care of someone, if you're caring for and a grandparent, or if it's a child, a parent taking care of a child, it's a storge love. It's a different type of love than agape love. Agape love is a sacrificing love. It is not just an emotional element. And it's not conditional. It's not on what I can get out of that other person, or get out of that relationship with this person. It is, I'm going to love them because I choose to love them. Like God chose to love us while we were still sinners, and apart from Him, we had no relationship with Him, and yet He said, I'm going to choose to love these people. I'm going to choose. It's a choice. Last week, Pastor Steve talked about loving your enemies, and now I wasn't here for. I don't know if I was here for that, but anyways. But the topic was on 911, and he asked people to remind themselves, where were you during 9/11? Now, most of us in the room were alive during that point, so we all have a kind of maybe an iconic memory attached to what we were doing that day when that news came across the screen. He talked about, I believe it was Luke, the passage where Jesus is being crucified. And as he's being crucified, he's being whipped, spit on, and his garments, his basically the only possessions he had left on earth, are being torn from him and gambled over by Roman soldiers. And his response to that is, Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. To have that ability to choose to forgive them in the time, at that time when you are literally bleeding from the sores in your back, humiliated by being stripped naked of all of your possessions, even to your underwear or less, and just being called just filthy, nasty names, and to take that time and say, I'm going to take time to forgive them, just moments before you leave this earth. And so Steve applied that to how we act towards those that offend us, how we act towards enemies. I thought it was rather fitting. We didn't really collude on that fact, but I thought it was really fitting with our topic today. Which is loving others. And it comes from Matthew 22, 36 to 40, which is here. It's in the Common English Bible, so it's a little bit easier to read. You must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your being, and all your mind. The first is the greatest commandment, and the second is like it. You must love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets depend on these two commands. Now, some translate it love your neighbor, some translate it love others, and I'll explain it in a bit. Here's a lovely billboard that I saw. That love thy neighbor thing. I meant that. And I think this is kind of an applicable poster. It could be, on the highway 95 heading into North Carolina right now. That might be a good sign to have up. In this world that we live in, it's becoming decreasingly familiar, this concept of loving our neighbor, loving others. So we're going to talk a little bit about love, and then we're going to talk a little bit about who these others are, or who our neighbor is in that regards. So first I have a verse in 1 John here, 4:7-10. And I want to mention this is only 4 verses, but I want to see how many times the red love comes up here. There you go. Nice. Dear friends, let's love each other because love is from God. Everyone who loves is born of God and knows God. The person who doesn't love doesn't know God because God is love. This is how the love of God is revealed to us. That God sent His only Son into the world and we can live through Him. This is love. It is not that we have loved God, but that He has loved us and sent his Son as a sacrifice that deals with our sins. So I have a question. Whom do you love? I know that's a line from a song as well. I wasn't going to sing it for you today, but who do you love? Who, you love hamburgers? That's okay. That's not a who. That's a what. So it's almost a rhetorical question. I want you to come up with at least 3 names in your head. You don't have to shout them out loud. You can if you want. If I'm not first on the list, feel free. But who you love. McDonald's. Ronald McDonald? Yes. Was a person, maybe is a person, definitely a clown, personified. Anyways, as we're thinking who we love, again, it can be a rhetorical question. The next one I really want to know, I really want you to answer is, how do you know that you love those people? It may be easy to come up with a list of 10 people that we love. How do we know we love them? Vivek?
When I want to meet with them, I have desire to meet them.
A desire to meet with them?
Yeah.
Spend time with them? Vesta?
When you want the best for them.
You desire the best for them?
Yeah.
When you sacrifice, you want to sacrifice things for them.
You want to sacrifice things for them?
You want to take care of them.
A desire to care for them. Okay. Good. Anyone else? Steve?
He knows the answer.
When you can do things for them without feeling like it's under your
Out of obligation then?
doing it not with the same obligation.
Not with a sense of obligation.
A close friendship or intimacy.
At the back?
When you feel comfortable enough that you can share anything with them,
When you feel comfortable enough to share anything with them.
so you can trust that person. You want to respect that and let them know that. That's secure.
When you miss them?
When you miss them? Do you miss me, Israel?
I did. He doesn't mean when you're shooting at him.
Oh, wait. You miss them when you're, yeah, Steve saying when you're shooting at them, you miss them. Gotta put in that military reference every time.
I miss you when I look at you.
And? There we go. All right. Well, 1 Corinthians is the love chapter. I'm going to leave it up there for a little bit. This is only a small section of it, but it has much more on loving it. But this is as much as applies today. Love is patient, love is kind, isn't jealous, it doesn't brag, isn't arrogant, it isn't rude. It doesn't seek its own advantage. It isn't irritable, it doesn't keep a record of complaints, it isn't happy with injustice, but it is happy with truth. Love puts up with all things, trusts in all things, hopes for all things, endures all things. So if we were to measure how we love people, even the top 3 people that we have, and we measure it against this standard, this literally is a description of what agape love is. I was struggling before when I was introducing it in the past talk that I did to really give it some meat that people would really grasp the difference of agape love from the other types of love that we have when we experience. We only have that one English word, right? And I thought that the Hebrew and the Greek has 4 or 5 different words. And so sometimes it's kind of watered down and it's kind of deep. So when you put it into context here, patient, kind, not jealous, doesn't brag, isn't arrogant, isn't rude. It gives it teeth in which we can grasp, in which we can understand, and not only understand, but seek to apply, and seek to live out in our lives. And the world, I think, would be a much better place. More people loved like this. We're going to talk now about the others. Who are these others that
I have a question.
yes.
The question is how to develop that love.
How to develop that love?
About it.
That's a good question. We'll take a moment here. It wasn't on my list.
You're not talking.
Now it's what we call a Toastmasters. This would be the impromptu section of the speech, in which I have 1 to 2 minutes to come up with. So the question is, how do you develop agape love? Well, agape love is God's love. So you develop it in your relationship with God. As the verse I shared in John says, God is love, and if you love, then you know God. If you don't love, then you don't know God. So as you learn about who God is, and as His love impacts your life, then I think you have the ability and the knowledge of His love in order to live it out. If it's devoid of God, it's not agape love. It would be at best our human love and our human compassion, which is good, but it's not God's love. It's good, but it's not a life-changing power that is God's love. Secondly, as we're going through our journey as followers of Jesus, He imparts His Spirit in us. And it is His Spirit in us that allows us to overcome our selfish nature, our arrogant nature, our rude nature, our irritable nature. And in those moments when our self is at its peak, it allows us the choice beyond ourselves to love someone with God's love. Case in point, I had a long day on Thursday night. I had stripped down, climbed into bed, and was almost asleep when the door knocked and the doorbell rang. And I was, who is at the door? And so, lovingly, my wife went down to check the door, not me. And it turned out to be a young man that I've been trying to love with God's love. And I'm speaking about God's love on Sunday. And what happens on Thursday, just a few days before I'm about to speak on this topic, someone shows up 1 in the morning, I'm tired, exhausted, I worked 14 hours that day, I had just fallen asleep, I didn't hear the text that he sent, and just knock on the door. It's raining, I step outside to have a conversation with them, and it's the usual conversation. I think it could have waited into the morning. I'm not sure what was so urgent about it, but I had that opportunity to put aside my irritability, put aside my anger at being awoken from the sleep, and hear him out, listen to him, chat with him just briefly, and and again love him with something that wasn't in me at that point. So that is, hopefully that's an answer on how we espouse agape.
So you'll be practicing it every day.
You practice it every day. Something that you, as you grow and mature in your faith, as you mature in your walk as a follower of Jesus, something that you get better at. And there are tests and there are trials, and you will fail miserably some days. And you will, either you will love them in just a human love, or you will bite their heads off, and punch them in the nose. And you know what? That will happen. We're still human. Thank you for that question. I have another question for you now that I give myself a few minutes pause here. If I were a fly on the wall, how would I know that you love others?
If I didn't pick up the flight. You weren't expecting that one, were you?
I wasn't expecting that one. No, flies have been really, really, really pestering me this week. So, yes, no, not towards flies, towards other people.
Sacrifice God. God made all.
Yes, you did. You're right.
Yeah, but did you know that when a fly lands on your food, you shoot away at Just saying, I'm just putting it out there.
Thank you for that.
You still love them?
So Ron,
Sorry.
how would I know? How would I know that you love others? If I was to follow you around with a spy cam.
Don't follow me around.
You do things for you'll be doing things for others.
Are you doing things? Do you have a specific example?
I don't know, like someone needs help and you'll help them.
Okay.
Like for no reason, like not to get anything back. If they need help, you'll go along and help them.
If I saw the pastor stuck in their ditch, I'd help them out.
Going out of your way to help somebody?
Going out of your way. Ruby.
If I hold my tongue and think about, what it is that I'm about to say, and you know how you have that check-in? Is it kind? Is it necessary? Is it helpful?
That's a great filter.
Well, it doesn't always.
I need to get better at that filter. You know what my filter is? It's my foot, right? Stops any more things from coming out.
Or if you saw like let's say you saw old lady struggling with the groceries, to get them in her car or something, or you could ask her if she was taking them to her car, because today you have to be careful because you really don't want to some old lady home. But anyways, I'm just saying. But yeah, I mean, if you saw some old lady struggling, or if you saw some old lady like struggling in a driveway, and you could just ask her.
Sorry, Antonio?
Checking in on somebody,
Checking in.
as well as sharing some kind words, especially with somebody you might be upset with.
Sharing kind words, especially if you're upset with that person. I like it.
I think like a willingness to resolve conflict with this person.
Willingness to resolve conflict.
When you show mercy to them.
Show mercy. Okay, explain that.
In a sense, there will be times when you feel as though as no, this is my right. But at the same time, you realize that because you love them, you just hold yourself back and let go of your right. So it is almost like swallowing your pride.
Swallowing your pride. Giving up that I'm right, I'm in the right attitude. Ruby.
When you hold back judgment, sometimes it's good. And you just, try to see it from the point of view. Instead understanding and
Sorry to be devil's advocate here.
You're going to be the devil's advocate. Excellent. All right.
For how long will you hold on to keep giving it, keep holding it right back if there is no reciprocation from the other side?
That's a good question. How long do you keep giving mercy, keep holding back if there's no reciprocation? That is a great question on how to love others. And I don't know if I have a perfect answer up front. As far as love doesn't keep a record of wrongs, right?
70 times 7.
70 times 7 to forgive, right? But that's not necessarily what he was saying. He was saying he was trying to extend mercy. The person is not. We're talking about mercy and I'll just briefly answer Rebecca and then so the answer is like 70 times 7 for forgiving them. The easy answer, the biblical answer is you never stop. I mean that as much as it up to you, the Bible says, be at peace with all people. So all you can do is honor God by being loving towards that person. How they respond to that is not on you, because you are acting in a way that pleases God. And as tough as it is to continue, you hope for all things in that love. You hope that and pray that in loving that person, they will come around and they will reciprocate. But in the face of continual, you don't despair, you don't give up, you just continue to love. It's the greatest thing we can do. Love God and love others. Nadine, who's next?
I'm sorry.
All right.
I think loving others doesn't mean all the time sacrificing and not defending your own rights. What I mean is you may, if you're in trouble after several times, or you have to defend your own rights, or then you need to sue someone, let's say, doesn't mean that you don't love that person. It can be from a loving place, which is deep inside of you. But doesn't mean you have to sacrifice all the time or not to defend your own rights. What I mean is, what I mean is, it's in your heart. That's right. That's right. But this love doesn't mean that you don't have to defend your own rights. Let's say someone is attacking. Yeah, that's all with prayers. Yeah, that's all with prayers and asking God for healing and helping that person. But deep inside, you should get rid of the hatred and that feeling and put love into that. At the same time, what I mean is, you have to defend your own rights as well.
Ron?
If you see somebody, an example of love. If you see somebody that's hungry on the street and you know that they're hungry.
You said you want an example of love?
Anyway, so if
I didn't
you,
get the play card.
so let's say you see somebody downtown and you know they're hungry, and you have food that you can give them, and you give it to them, that's love.
Good then.
And what?
I think it is just to follow up on Aileen example. You mentioned about defending your rights, but I think when you love someone, it means that you're defending yourself in a kind way instead of being really defensive and attacking towards that person.
Yeah, okay. So you're clarifying that you're agreeing with Aileen that you can defend your rights. And you were saying in mercy, you're just in how you defend it. You can defend it in mean, or you can defend it in kindness, and not a pushover and walk over. Paul?
I had the same sort of thought. I mean,
Same sort of
loving
thought?
oneself means you love others. If you love yourself, you're not going to put yourself in that sort of harm's way and accept the differences of the other person. Rather than keep contesting and just so that you can assert your version of what's correct, maybe or whatever the issue contention may be.
I'd just like to bring back attention to what was read earlier. Love is not happy with injustice.
That's right.
And there was another part after that which is, I forget.
There's so many.
Just after that, it is happy with the truth.
Happy with the truth.
And it's not
right.
happy with injustice.
Not happy with injustice. So if there's a wrong being done, love is not happy with injustice, whether it's towards us or towards others. We truly love ourselves, or we truly love others. We're not going to be happy with an injustice towards us. Good. Thank you for that point. So, I'm just going to move on just a little bit here. Our job is to love others without stopping to inquire whether or not they're worthy. I saw this when I was, I just do a Google search for images whenever I'm trying to create a slide, and I just loved it. Because for me, I think there's always a check. Do I have time to love this person? Do I have the resources to love this person? Do I have,
Is it
the
1 o'clock
energy?
in the morning?
Yeah, 1 o'clock in the morning after a 14-hour day. But I think that is the essence of what love is it's not conditional. It's not conditional on worthiness. The love that God showed us wasn't conditional on our worthiness. And so the love that we show others isn't conditional on theirs.
I have a quick question. So, if there are two people, one of them you feel is not worthy of whatever help you're about to give, and the other person is, worthy in the sense they're willing and they really want it, how would you choose? You can only help one person.
It's a quiz.
I mean, this happens all the time.
Yeah.
I struggle with it. So.
Struggle with it. I mean, I don't know if there's a right answer. I think you love to the best of your ability. That's all we have, and we love with the grace and the energy that God gives us to love people with. And yes, we're going to make those choices. We're going to choose, to love the difficult person who doesn't even want our love at times, and you're going to choose to love the person that does need it and is reciprocal to that love. And I think you try to find a balance in that, because everybody needs love. The most difficult person that will spit on you as you're loving them, they still need love. And so I think we take those times and we have an extra grace. If we can take that step of faith to love that more difficult person, I think that honors God. And if the energy and the desire is absolutely not there, there's no extra grace. I don't think there's anything wrong with just loving the other person that is accessible, that is maybe easier to love. Because I think God equips us for the tasks that He gives us. The people that come into our lives, He gives us extra grace, extra energy, which is apart from ourselves in those situations. So I think that it is our call. We have that choice. God doesn't impose His will on us. He gives us the ability to honor Him with our choices, who we love. And whether it's the more difficult person or the person that's a little bit easier to love, it's still requiring our time, it's still requiring our energy. I just think that in the opportunities that we have, we should do both and do both as you feel led.
I just
Oh.
right here.
Oh. Yes.
Yeah, if you're the second God, then everybody's worthy of love no matter what.
That's right.
I don't care if it's one person or two people. Love is a condition. God's love is all around the world. We see it every day. No one person is better than the other. No one person deserves more love than another person. A perfect example of this was last week. I was getting off the bus and was going to Sunday morning, and I seen a particular friend of mine that some of us have known for quite a long time. And this gentleman tried to through the garbage cans in front of him, working for McDonald's, trying to get something to eat. I had about $3 in my pocket. I had about $3 in my pocket, and the gentleman that I didn't know, while we were going into the store, came up to me and he goes, here's another $4. See if you can get him something to eat. And I mean, we didn't know this guy from Adam, right? And all he said was just, God bless you, have a good day. And I love the guy. And the tears started welling up in my eyes. Because I've known this gentleman for a long time. And I see that he was struggling. I feel his pain. He was hurt. And all I had was unconditional love for him. I was in front of the social place. I told him I loved him and everything I could do. And what God was. And he smiled. And I see him 2 days later. And he thanked me. I said, there's no need to thank you. That's what we do for one another. We just automatic. Love shouldn't come with strings. It shouldn't come with worthy or unworthy. It shouldn't come with black and white. It shouldn't come with cream. It's just.
Thank you. Thank you. So I've got 2 more scriptures to share, and just in answering that question, who are the others that are mentioned? Who is our neighbor? In Leviticus, these are laws just after the 10 Commandments which we talked about. When immigrants live in your land with you, you must not cheat them. An immigrant who lives with you must be treated as if they were one of your own citizens. You must love them as yourself. You see where that passage that Jesus is quoting is from back in the Old Testament. It's a common teaching that God is reminding the people. You must love them as yourself. Why did he say you love them? Because you were immigrants in the land of Egypt, and I am your God. Now, the context for this passage is that Israel was a tribe. It started out as 12 families, being nomadic, moving around, and following where there was food. There happened to be a huge famine in the land of Canaan where they lived, and they ended up being spared and living in Egypt. Now, several hundred years transpired, and Egypt, with the almost million-plus numbers of Jews from those initial 12 families, kind of got a little upset that there was that many, immigrants living with them. Now, Israel, they tended to animals, and Egyptians kind of
deemed people that took care of sheep and cattle as kind of gross. And they didn't really like the fact that there was now like 1 million people that were taking care of sheep and cattle near their big cities, near where they lived. And so there's a little bit of this elitism going on. So they ended up turning them into slaves because they weren't really human anyways, right? They're thought of as lower, they're thought of as with less dignity than a real person. They weren't a real Egyptian. And so they were turned into slaves. And so God brought them out of Egypt in the Exodus, out of slavery, out of Egypt, where they were just immigrants. And so they would have known what it was like to be an immigrant. They would have known what it was like to be mistreated. I mean, this is only 30 years after they escaped the slavery. Virtually every generation knew what it was like to be mistreated as a foreigner in the land of Egypt. They wouldn't have forgotten that. That message would have been passed down. So God reminds them, I am giving you a new land. You are going to be my people in this land. And you're not going to be like the Egyptians. So foreigners, when they come into your land, you are going to love them. And you're going to love them like you love yourself. Powerful, powerful. So this message, obviously, we are thousands of years in the future when God gave this message to the Israelites. But I don't think it's any less important. If you are a follower of Christ, and you are living wherever you are, you're going to have an opportunity to meet foreigners. And whether or not it's politically justified or not, our call, our command from God is to love those people who we cross paths with that are not from here. Doesn't really give us a choice. I am your God, you are my people. It's the same message. You may not know what it's like to be mistreated like the people of Israel were. So the message remains the same. We are to love those who are foreigners amongst us. Treat them. Vivek?
I've been here 25 years.
Okay.
I've never heard a single word ever of any word which would describe me differently. Not even once.
It's encouraging.
Of course, everyone in the room is an immigrant except for Ron and Jennifer, right?
That's right.
That's kind of what I was going to say there. The lands of Egypt, that's a man-made line, but between you and your property boundary with your neighbor, it's also just another line.
Second scripture I found that applies to the others question, who is our neighbor? James 1:27, and there are others I could have chosen, but this one says, true devotion. In some translations it says true religion. The kind that is pure and faultless before God, the Father, is this, to care for orphans and widows in their difficulties. Now there are provisions in Leviticus as well, that if you have this land they were given, these blessings from God they were given, and what they were to do with that was to care for orphans and widows. Often orphan widows in a land like Israel was, which was agrarian. Everyone had lands, but if you were an orphan, you obviously couldn't tend that land to provide for yourself. And if you're a widow, some of those land rights didn't apply to you, so you would sometimes lose your title. And that happened to Naomi in the Bible. Her husband and all her sons passed away, and so all the land went to the next male relative or kin. And so she and her daughter-in-law were without
without a way to provide for themselves. So they ended up, the only way they could survive was going to a cousin's field and picking up the leftovers of grain in order to try to make it bread with the oats in order to survive. And so the call is this. This is the New Testament passage. This is for the followers of Jesus. If we are looking to be pure in our devotion to following Jesus, caring for orphans and widows, those are on God's heart. That is the heart of God, to care. I mean, this was, I think, if you were looking at a biblical, like the neediest people in the Bible to care for, orphans and widows, because they would have literally no safety net. Now, I understand in Canada, the social values that we have, we have a system that does, catch some people. We do have a system for orphans, the children's aid. We might have, some pensions, or the Ontario Pension Plan, or, Ontario Works to care for widows. And that might take care of them financially. But I think that there's ways we can impact in this area as followers of Christ that isn't necessarily financial. And one of those things that I would think is for an orphan. If you are a man or a woman and you can invest time and energy and to be a role model for one who is an orphan, that is one of the greatest things you can do. There's an epidemic in our society of fatherlessness. I don't know if it's on your radar or not, but it's almost generational now, where there's been generations of men that have grown up with almost no strong father role. And the impact it's had on society is only starting to come to light. So as a man, and as a follower of Jesus, to invest in other young men, come alongside them. The Bible uses for a discipleship model, it talks about a young tree being planted in other tall trees, sheltering it, and allowing it to grow, and up alongside of it to grow into a tall tree. I mean, this is what I think we can do. And our society, we have widows, we have male or female, we have people who have lost their family and become estranged from their family. And I think we can bless this portion of our population by investing your time and energy with them. Everybody needs community. Everybody needs love. And these are two groups of people that are categorically, devoid of opportunities to feel and express and to be loved.
Can we go on?
So I have a little video here from Skit Guys, which I think sums up the talk we had today. So I'll play it and then I'll come back with my challenge. I'm not going to forget my challenge this time. Play that for me? Sorry.
In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus is asked the question, which is the greatest commandment? He answered, love God with all of your heart, and with all of your soul, and with all of your mind. And the second is like it, love your neighbor as yourself. And then again, at the Last Supper, he says the same thing, but with a twist. A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another. Just as I have loved you, you also are to love one another. By this all people will know that you are my disciples. This time, Jesus replaced your neighbor with one another. This new love that Christ commands of us goes much deeper than the Old Testament commandment he was quoting in Matthew. The people we have been commanded to love has expanded beyond our neighborhoods to include, well, everyone. And this includes people who might make this commandment a bit difficult, like that confrontational coworker who just seems impossible to get along with, or your in-laws who never treated you like a part of the family, or maybe the person you just met, who you don't even know and really need some help. You see, Jesus knew his physical time on earth was nearing an end. So in this new take on the old commandment, Jesus also made another change. The words "as yourself" became "as I have loved you." Wow, that's a tough act to follow. Christ's sacrificial life provides a clear and concrete example of real and true love. And he put this love on display on a daily basis with his disciples. He was patient with them, speaking kindly, and showing great concern for their welfare. He instructed, counseled, and comforted them, prayed with them and for them. He admonished them for wrongdoing, and yet compassionately bore with their failings. And most of all, he gave his life, dying so that they, and we, might live. According to Jesus, this is how others will know that you are one of his followers, not because you have a shirt or a bumper sticker that says so, not because we announce it from a stage or a blog or a status update, but because they look at you, at how you live, the things you do and say, and they see Jesus. They see love.
So in response to Black Eyed Peas, where is the love? The love, yeah, the love can be, here and now. The love, we act, we say, we show, but it's from Jesus. It can be the answer to that question. So I have a challenge. So if you are a follower of Jesus,
Yes, ma'am.
take this time to read the study the passages of the Bible, some of them I presented to you today, that talk about loving others. Pray and look for opportunities to practice love. If you pray, you will find opportunities to practice love. Hopefully they won't be at 1 a.m. just saying. But there will be opportunities. There will be people like, is it Rick? Ron, like Ron said, there will be people that you will see in need that you'll be able to respond to. Maybe it will only be with that $3 in your pocket, but there will be opportunities. If you don't profess to follow Jesus, I invite you to take time to get to know the God of love. And we mentioned in 1 John 4:7, ask questions. And know that your welcome here is not conditional. Thank you.
Main service tonight at 6:30. If you can join us, love to have you there. If you're a guy in the Manly Man group, you have some homework to do. You need to do that for Tuesday night.